ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपगदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो ओं विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्नीति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत श्री राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा. We welcome all participants for today's session on Krishna Leela. So this is a special program in connection with the impending Krishna Janmashtami festivals. Janmashtami will be celebrated on 12th, the coming Wednesday. So this session will help us to prepare our minds for welcoming Lord Sri Krishna into our hearts. Yesterday you heard the first of this Krishna Leela series. Today we will have one more class on the same subject. Childhood pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna, we shall continue. Here is Lord Krishna Balaram. These are the deities in Vrindavan. In the previous slide, we saw Radha Krishna of ISKCON Chennai. And these are the ISKCON deities of Vrindavan. Lord Balaram is resting his hand on the shoulder of Lord Krishna. Srila Prabhupada would explain that even though he is called Balaram, he derives his Bala from Lord Sri Krishna, because Krishna is a supreme person and his very first expansion is Lord Balaram. So there is really no difference between Krishna and Balaram. Only the color, Lord Sri Krishna has the color of monsoon black cloud, and Balaram has the color of the spring white cloud. Otherwise, they have the same personality, but still Lord Balaram's mood is always that of the servant of Lord Krishna. He serves Krishna in so many beautiful ways. He becomes the entire Brindavana for the pleasure of Lord Sri Krishna. And also he simultaneously, the shoes, the dress, the Yajnopavita, the umbrella, the turban, everything of Lord Sri Krishna, his bed, Balarama expands into all these things. So he's always trying to give pleasure to Lord Sri Krishna. In that sense, he becomes the guru for all the souls of this creation. He is teaching us how we should serve Lord Sri Krishna. By his mood of constantly trying to give pleasure to Krishna, he is never thinking about his own happiness. He is constantly thinking, how can I make Krishna happy? In the Ramavatar, he appears as the younger brother of Lord Sri Krishna. But at that time also, his mood is one of how to give pleasure to Lord Ram. It is said that all the 14 years that he was with Lord Ram in the forest, he never slept and he never ate. And one of the boons of Indrajit, the son of Ravana, was that he can only be killed by someone who has not eaten or slept for 14 years. So, when Lakshmana was able to kill Indrajit, it was made known to everyone that this is the kind of sacrifice Lakshmana did for Lord Ram. But he never felt he was doing a sacrifice. It was a pleasure for him to be serving Lord Ram. In the similar way, Balramji is always trying to serve Krishna, but the secret is that is the way for us to get true happiness. When we try to become happy ourselves, we don't get that happiness. But when we try to serve the Supreme Lord as his eternal servant, that is when happiness comes flooding into our heart. This is the secret of spiritual life. So let us take the blessings of Lord Krishna Balram and Radha Krishna and proceed with today's session. I am going to slightly brief you about the appearance of Krishna, even though we have already discussed in our earlier classes, because this is always worth reminding ourselves. I will give you a little more detail than what we heard in earlier classes. When Bhumi Devi approached Lord Brahma in the guise of a cow, and she cried in front of Lord Brahma, the cow was crying and saying, I am burdened by so many demons who have appeared as kings, and they are raising huge armies and they are controlling the whole world. Good people are having lot of problems to carry on with their lives. Sadhus are being given lot of trouble and disturbance, and they are unable to carry on their pious activities. So I have come to you to give me a solution. I am overburdened and it is becoming too difficult for me to bear. And Lord Brahma said, please don't worry. This is a serious problem. We have to approach the Supreme Lord. So Bhumi Devi, Lord Brahma, and all the other devatas, including Lord Shiva, Indra, Chandra, Varuna, Vayu, all the devatas, he collected them all together and they all went to the Milky Ocean. It's called Kshirodaka Samudra, Kshira Sagara. He takes all of them there and they are only able to see the shore of the ocean. They are not able to see Lord Vishnu, who is sleeping on the snake bed in the middle of the ocean. He is not visible to them. They sit on the bank of the ocean and they all start praying. Devas offer what is called Purusha Sukta prayers, which is so pleasing to the Lord. But even then the Lord does not appear. Then Lord Brahma sits down in meditation and meditates on the Supreme Lord. Then the Lord appears in his heart and announces, don't worry, I know why you have come. The time has come for me to appear in the material world. And I will come for two purposes. One, I will destroy the wicked people and lighten the burden of Mother Earth. And at the same time, I will come in my true form and I will give so much pleasure to my devotees. And I will also make it visible to the whole world about me. They can see me and they can see my pastimes, what I am performing, and they will know me as I exist in the spiritual world. So I will try and attract the hearts of everyone towards me so that they can purify their lives. They can destroy all the wickedness in their heart. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsari. They can destroy everything and generate love for me in their heart. And that way they can finish their material existence and they can come back to me eternally. So you can all go back in peace, and please tell all the devas that they should appear in the Mathura Gokula area, and I am also going to be appearing there very shortly. So Brahmaji conveyed this message to all the devatas, and this is how, this is called the parampara system. This is also called Shabda Pramana. I hope you all remember. There are two ways of acquiring knowledge. One is by the ascending process, which is what the modern man is trying. We are doing research. We are so proud of our research. And we say we are discovering so many laws of nature. And we are inventing so many devices to make our life comfortable. This is called the ascending knowledge, and we are so proud. We have discovered the atom, we have discovered the ways of breaking the atom, and we are able to release huge energies, and we are all so proud of that. We are able to send rockets into space, so many things. But ascending knowledge has its limitations. The main limitation being it is never perfect. Because man is not perfect, his ascending knowledge is also not perfect. That means the absolute truth of who is God cannot be discovered by the ascending process. But here we see the descending process, which is the Supreme Lord is giving the knowledge into the heart of Brahma. He is the first created being. And through him, the Devatas are receiving the knowledge. And in turn, they will pass it on to their disciples. Like that, the Guru Parampara continues. This is called Shabda Praman. The Shabda is received from a superior authority to the subordinate. And this way it passes on. This way, because the original source is the Supreme Lord, the information is perfect. And in a proper Guru Parampara system, the message is preserved, the purity of the message is preserved, and it is passed on to subsequent generations. Whenever the message gets distorted due to passage of time, the Supreme Lord again starts another parampara system. So in this material world, there will be always the Guru Sishya parampara existing, connecting back to Lord Krishna. Then only the parampara is effective. Just like power is generated in a generating station, and through a whole lot of transmitting stations, it comes to your home. And then you are able to switch on the lights or fan or refrigerator or washing machine. The power is coming to you all the way from generating station with the help of so many transmitting stations. If anywhere it snaps, the wire is cut, you will not get power in your house. Similarly, the Guru Sishya Parampara is the distribution network, and it has to be connected to the generating station, which is Lord Vishnu. This message we get from this slide. Next is, we see Lord Krishna appearing to Devaki and Vasudeva. Actually, here we see the child in two-armed form, and we see Lord Vishnu behind the child. But actually what happened was, the child was born with 4 arms. The child had 4 arms with Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma, and he was wearing this Pitambara. He was wearing a helmet of Vaidurya stones. His hair was black and curly and long. His eyes were like lotus petals, and his body was ornamented thoroughly from top to bottom with various jewelry. The Srivastha mark could be seen. The Kaustubha Mani was there. The Vaijayanti Mala was there. But all this was in a small child. All his teeth, everything was intact. Have you seen a child being born like that? With full ornaments and dress and beautiful hair and teeth and everything, but small baby with 4 hands, with Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. That is how he took birth to Devaki and Vasudeva. First, he appeared in the heart of Vasudeva. Then Vasudeva was shining like the sun. You could make out by seeing him that the Lord has appeared. Then the Lord transferred himself from Vasudeva's heart into Devaki's heart. Then Devaki was shining like a goddess, like 1,000 moons she was shining. All the Devatas, including Brahma, came from the spiritual world, from the heavenly planets, and they started offering worship to Devaki, saying the Supreme Lord is in your womb now. Then after that, the Lord did not take birth like a normal childbirth. After residing in Devaki's womb, then he again appeared outside in his 4-armed form. So, proving to the world forever that he is not an ordinary human being. Many people try to say that Krishna is an ordinary human being like us, but because of tapasya, meditation, and by his great effort, he attained jnana. He has become a siddha, like that they say. But the newborn baby was born with 4 arms. So please understand that there is a difference between God and the souls. He is Paramatma, we are Jivatma. We will never become Paramatma. We can take the shelter of Paramatma, we can serve him, and we can exchange love with him, but we cannot become the Paramatma. It is good that way because serving him is the greatest joy of the soul. And for giving us this opportunity only, he appeared as Lord Krishna. So that by his beauty, by his wonderful pastimes, he wants to attract us to go back with him to the spiritual world. So this is the unique birth of the Supreme Lord. He took birth at his own choosing. He selected his parents, he selected the timing, and he selected the form in which he will appear. And here, Vasudeva was taking Krishna across the river. Yamuna was in speed, but it made way because Vasudeva was carrying Krishna in his arms, and Adisesha, the Ananta Dev, was offering shelter over his head because it was also raining heavily. At the instruction of Lord Krishna, the child, the instruction was, please cross the river Yamuna, across go to Gokula. There, Yashoda and Nanda Maharaja are there. Go to their house. She has already delivered a baby. You will deposit me there and bring the child back with you. So this is the instruction Lord Krishna gave. And Vasudev, with full faith, executed this order, and then immediately all the doors of the prison house opened, and he was able to execute the order as given to him by Lord Krishna. Then here, Krishna has already arrived in the home of Nanda Maharaja. Because Yashoda was sleeping, Nanda Maharaja was sleeping, and everybody was sleeping, the exchange of babies was not known to anyone by the power of Yogamaya. So everybody thought Krishna is the child of Yashoda and Nanda Maharaja. And because he was born in the midnight, the news was circulated to all the Gopas and Gopis in the next morning. And then everybody came to see with wonderful gifts. All the men and ladies of Gokula were so happy because Nanda and Yashoda had no children for a long time, and they are the king and queen of Gokula. So because now they have got a child, everybody came to visit them. There was a wonderful festival on the following day that is called Nanda Utsav, the day when they celebrated the birth of Krishna by bathing him and giving lot of gifts to everyone. This is called Nanda Utsav. This is the exact day on which Srila Prabhupada was born. So every year, the day after Janmashtami is the appearance day of Srila Prabhupada, who has given Krishna to all of us. Had Srila Prabhupada not come, we would never have come to know Krishna as the Supreme Lord. We would also be thinking, oh, Krishna was a very powerful human being. He spoke nice philosophy, he performed some nice pastimes, but he also died like all of us. He is also an ordinary human being. The invisible Supreme Spirit was acting through him, but Krishna was an ordinary human being. Like that, all of us would have thought. But by the mercy of Prabhupada, who was sent by Krishna himself, we know the actual truth of the Supreme Lord. And then, when Krishna and Balarama were growing up in the house of Nanda Maharaja, Balarama took birth as the child of Rohini. You have already heard how the child was transferred from the womb of Mother Devaki to Rohini, who was staying with Nanda Maharaja and Yashoda Mai in Gokula. So they both grew up together, Balaram and Krishna. And At that time, Vasudeva, who was in Mathura, he sent his family priest because Vasudeva knew that his children are growing up with Nanda Maharaja. But Nanda Maharaja had no inkling that he is actually bringing up the children of Devaki and Vasudeva. So secretly, he sent his family priest, Gargamuni, to see how the children are and to perform the proper naming ceremonies and to come. So Gargamuni visited Vrindavan, and very secretly the naming ceremony of Krishna and Balarama were done. At that time, Gargamuni, in great secret, he told Nanda Maharaja, your sons are none other than Narayana. Please look after them very carefully. If Kamsa comes to know that I had come here, he will suspect that Krishna has his killer, the eighth child of Devaki only, has come to you. So please keep it as secret. So the naming ceremony was done in great secret. And there Gargamuni announced that the Supreme Person has actually taken birth in your home. And here, let us read a few shlokas for our purification from Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Shloka number 5 to 9 in chapter 4. This talks about the appearance and activities of Lord Krishna. Let us all read it together, shloka by shloka. Shloka number 5. Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tava charjuna tanyaham veda sarvani natvam vetha parantapa. Krishna is telling Arjun, Bahuni me vyatitani janmani. You and I have taken so many births. You as well as me, we have taken so many births. But only I know, Aham Veda, Sarvani. I remember all the times that we appeared in this world. Natvam Veta Parantapa. O destroyer of your enemies, Arjuna, you don't know. So Krishna is indicating the difference between Jivatma and Paramatma. Jivatma does not know all his previous births. And Jivatma also does not know what is going on in the universe. We only know our body and what is happening around our body. We even forget what happened yesterday and we have no idea what will happen tomorrow. But the Supreme Lord has full knowledge of everything, everywhere, eternally. Next shloka. Ajopi san avyayatma bhutanam ishvaropi san prakritim swamadhisthaya sambhavami atma mayaya. Krishna is telling, Ajopi, I am not born. Avyayatma, I don't die. Bhutanam Ishvaro, I am the supreme controller of all creation, all elements of creation. So I am without birth, I am without death, I am the supreme controller of everything. But even then, Prakritim swam adhisthaya sambhavami atmamayaya, by using my own internal energy, Prakritim swam, Prakritim, my energy, using that sambhavami, I appear, atmamayaya, I am using my own powers. With my own powers, I appear in this material world. So my body is not like your body, Arjuna. Your body is made of the 5 elements, but my body is my own spiritual energy, my internal energy. My body is made of Satchitananda. So this is the message Krishna is giving. Then he also explains why he takes birth. 4:7. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. So whenever there is a decline of dharma, then to destroy that adharma and to establish dharma, I take birth. Srijami. Srijami means I appear. Whenever there is a need, whenever there is a need, when dharma is under threat, then I appear. So Krishna is explaining why he comes. Next shloka. Paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. In every year I take birth, Arjun. Yuge yuge, every yuga I take birth. Why? Paritranaya sadhunam, people who are virtuous, people who are my devotees, people who are leading a pure life, in order to protect them. And vinashaya cha dushkritam, those who are demonic in nature, asuric in nature, who are scoundrels, who create disturbances for nature, for the people of this world. I come to destroy them. And dharma samsthapanarthaya, dharma, he is the giver of dharma. Krishna is the giver of dharma. Krishna is the father of dharma. To establish dharma, dharma samsthapanarthaya, sambhavami, I appear in every yuga. So, to destroy the wicked, to protect the virtuous, and to re-establish dharma, I appear in every yuga. Now you understand why Krishna takes birth and what is so special about Krishna's appearance. Then this shloka we read yesterday also. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. So Arjuna, on the basis of whatever I have told you, please understand. But like my birth and my activities are transcendental. Anyone who knows this, that I am not an ordinary human child, I am the Supreme Lord who is taking birth in the form of a human. If you understand that, then when you die, tyaktva deham, deham means body, tyaktva, when you give up your body, punarjanma naiti, you will not take one more birth. What will happen? Mam eti so Arjuna, you will come back to me. Remember this, very important shloka. When we give up our body, Krishna says, you will not take birth again. But you should not immediately jump to the conclusion, oh, that means I will not exist. Punarjanma naiti. If I don't take birth again, then what will happen to me? I will merge with nature. I will not exist as an individual anymore. That is not what Krishna is telling. Krishna is telling two things. Punarjanma naiti. After you die, you will not take rebirth. Then mameti so Arjuna, you will come back to me, Arjuna. So that means you will leave this material world, which is full of dukkha, which is full of suffering, and you will go back to Krishna, which is full of enjoyment, which is full of love, which is full of eternal existence. These are the 5 shlokas I chose for today to prepare our consciousness. And here we will discuss some of the leelas, wonderful pastimes of Krishna. This will again prove to us that Krishna is not an ordinary human being. But Krishna declares that those who are demoniac nature, who have wicked consciousness, who want to control and enjoy this material world, for them, I cover their consciousness in such a way that even though they can see me in front of them, they will never realize that I am God. Even though they see that I am performing such wonderful activities which a human being cannot do, still they will not understand. This is what Krishna says. But for devotees, Krishna attracts their heart by his wonderful pastimes. Now, when Krishna was a small child, just days old, one demon came to Vrindavan. This demon was actually sent by Kamsa, because Kamsa wanted to kill all the children, and Putana was a wicked witch who would kill children only, and she would drink their blood. She was such a wicked witch. She was called a Kechuri witch, which means she can fly in the space wherever she wants, and she can take any form. She can transform herself into any form that she wants. So this wicked witch came to Vrindavan. Then she changed her form into a beautiful lady. Almost she looked like Lakshmi. She was carrying a lotus flower also in her hand, and she was walking, and everybody thought Lakshmi has come. Even though Yashoda is the mother of the Supreme Lord, Rohini is the mother of Balram, who is the expansion of the Supreme Lord, and all the gopis in Vrindavan, who are all actually Lakshmis, all of them were captured by the beauty of this lady. And she just walked through. Nobody stopped her. She walked through Vrindavan. She reached the house of Yashoda and she walked right in, and Yashoda was keeping Krishna in her lap. And but when they saw, oh, this woman has come from the heavenly planets. She's perhaps the wife of Indra, or she's perhaps Lakshmi herself. They all got captured. So she quietly lifted the baby from the womb of, from the lap of Mother Yashoda, and nobody stopped her. And this lady, what she had planned, this witch, she took the halahal wish, that came from the churning of the Milky Ocean. That poison, she had already applied on her breast. Her plan was, in the guise of feeding her milk to the baby Krishna, she would kill him. Even if an elephant touches a little bit of that poison, it will immediately die. And she had smeared ample poison in her breast so that there is no chance for a baby to survive. So she took the baby in her lap, in her hand, and then she moved away. Then she started feeding her breast milk to the baby. So Putana's plan was to kill him. But Krishna, being the Supreme Lord and very merciful, he thought, even though she is a witch, but she has come in the disguise of a mother, like a nurse. She wants to feed me. So Krishna decided that I must kill her, but at the same time, I will simultaneously destroy all her sins. Along with killing her, I will destroy her sins, and I will make her one of my mothers in Goloka. So Krishna, with his tiny hands, he held her breast and he started sucking. And when Krishna started sucking, along with the milk, along with the poison, all her sins came out. And also her life air itself came out. And she started shouting. She could no longer keep her beautiful form. She started growing, growing, growing. She grew into a 12-mile tall demoness. And she just started running here and there. Baby, give me, leave me, save my life. Like that, she was shouting. But Krishna did not leave her. Please remember, Krishna's form did not grow. This lady was growing so big, but Krishna was still the same tiny child. And in that form only, he killed her. And she had grown 12-mile tall, and then she fell dead. So all the trees, on the way, they got destroyed. She fell like a huge thunder, and everybody came running. Yashoda, Rohini, all the gopis, they came running to see what happened to our child Krishna. And then they saw this huge demon was lying on the floor, and Krishna was simply playing on her. He had not been damaged at all. So, did the gopis realize that he is God? No, because they are all covered by his Maya Shakti. He does not want them to know that he is God. So, everybody is saying, oh, Narayana has saved our child. He would have definitely died in the hands of this witch, but Narayana has saved our child. Like that, they took the baby from the witch's arm. They nicely bathed the child. They did lot of, they bathed him in cow urine and cow dung. And with a cow's tail, they circumambulated him. They chanted nice mantras. And then finally, Mother Yashoda took him and fed him her breast milk. And when the child was sucking the milk, that was the indication that the child is healthy and not harmed. So the mood of Krishna as God never appears in Gokula or Vrindavan. For them, he is an ordinary child and he is depending on them for his protection. So Putana, the Acharyas say that Putana represents a false guru. A false guru. I will not name them. You can just imagine how many gurus are in this world. There are so many gurus and they are all acting as though they are very nice. They are very pure. They are the avatar of God. They have all come to save us. They talk to us very nice things. Actually, they pick up from Bhagavad Gita only and talk, but they say as though they are only telling all these things. And they say, you come to me, I will give you protection. And lakhs and crores of people go to them. They perform some magic and people are captivated. And these are the Putanas. They are false gurus. They want to take you away from Krishna and they want to attach you to themselves because they want name, fame, power, position. They want your money. They want to enjoy their senses. They want you to worship them as God. So they are the false gurus. Putana represents the false guru. And she is the first demon killed by Krishna in his Krishna avatar. The first demon. And she is a woman. So when Putana came to take Krishna, Krishna saw her and immediately closed his eyes. The Acharyas explain so many reasons why Krishna closed his eyes. One important reason is, in my previous avatar as Rama, also the first witch I killed was our lady, Tataka. She was the first demon killed by Ram. And in Krishna avatar also, the first demon he kills is a woman. So thinking like that, he closed his eyes that I am now going to have to kill her. He also thought, the moment Putana saw baby Krishna, immediately it struck her that I am not seeing an ordinary child. I am seeing the Supreme Lord here. That thought came in her mind. So Krishna wanted to encourage her. So he closed his eyes. Like that, so many reasons are given. But the message for us is we should not fall for false gurus. They will look very attractive like Putana when she came. They will talk very nicely, but their aim is to take us away from Krishna. This is another Leela, where Sakatashura was killed by Krishna. What happens in Gokula? Every time little Krishna does something, they will have a festival immediately. Like when Krishna is turning over on his back, or when he starts crawling, or when his teeth start appearing, or when he crosses the threshold of the house. For each and everything, they will have a festival. Like that, they were celebrating one of the festivals, and all the people of Gokula had assembled. At that time, Mother Yashoda also brought her child with her. Krishna appeared to be somewhat tired, so she wanted to put Krishna to sleep. There was a huge cart. On top of the cart, huge vessels were there, for cooking and all these purposes. And below the cart, she spread a small bed and she lay down along with Krishna, and he allowed him to drink her milk so that the child will sleep after some time. And Krishna appeared to sleep. Then mother got up and walked away. She had to do so many activities like inviting the guests and talking to them, seeing the arrangements for the festival, respecting the brahmanas, giving gifts. She had so many duties. So she left that place. But the children, Gokula boys, they were sitting around Krishna and watching what is going on. Suddenly Krishna woke up and he started crying when the mother was not there. He shouted so much, cried so much, and he started kicking his tiny feet. And when Krishna kicked his tiny feet, the cart crashed. The axle of the wheels broke. The cart came in pieces. All the parts fell off. And the huge noise disturbed everybody, and everybody came running to see that nothing has happened to Krishna. When they saw, the cart was in total smashed, but Krishna was lying there safe. Everybody was wondering, and they were all thanking Lord Narayana for saving our child. By your blessings only, our child has been saved today. Then they asked the children, what happened? The children said, suddenly Krishna woke up and he was crying for mother and he kicked his feet. And when his foot touched the cart broke into pieces. Everybody laughed. They said, oh, children, you are making up stories. Actually, some demon must have come and must have tried to disturb, but Narayana saved us. But actually, what happened was an asura called Shakatasura was sent by Kamsa to kill Krishna. Kamsa was almost daily, he was sending so many asuras for killing Krishna. And this asura was like a ghost. He has no body and he can just enter into any form like this. He entered into the cart and he was just waiting to fall upon Krishna and kill him. But before he could execute his evil plan, Krishna just kicked and smashed him. Now, what does Shakatasur represent? He is a formless ghost. In a similar way, in all of us, there are so many wicked thoughts, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, pride, envy, lust, greed, anger, illusion. All these things are in us. They are like the asura, the formless ghost. They have taken hold of our consciousness. But when Krishna appears, he will smash all these things into pieces. So we have to pray to Lord Krishna. Now Janmashtami is approaching. Let us pray to Krishna. I am suffering because of the ghosts that have occupied my heart. Please destroy these ghosts. My suffering is because of my own uncontrolled mind. My mind is giving me so much trouble all the time. Oh Lord, please take residence in my heart and destroy all these wicked thoughts. Let me become a well wisher of everyone like you are. Krishna says, Bhoktaram yajnatapasam sarvaloga maheshwaram suhritam sarvabhutanam. I am the suhrit, means I am the well-wishing friend of everyone, even of the atheist, demons and rascals who deny that God exists. Even such people, he is the well-wisher of them. Gradually, he is trying to purify everybody's heart and take them back to him. So when we worship Krishna, from our heart also, all these negative qualities will disappear. The ghost will go and pure Krishna consciousness will take residence in our heart. Now, I wanted to briefly discuss with you some of the tattva of Krishna Prema. A few points I have noted down. It may not be exhaustive, but it will help you to meditate for the Janmashtami day. We have just another 3 days to go for Janmashtami. So these points, I request you all to meditate in your heart. They will fill you with happiness. I have just noted down some of these points. I hope you can read it. For some reason, my PPT is not helping. The first point, Krishna does not wish to reveal himself as God before his pure devotees. And he does not want to show his powers. Why? Because pure devotees are not interested in the powers of Krishna. Pure devotees are only interested in Krishna himself. They want to exchange love with Krishna. When the Aishwarya of Krishna comes in the way, they cannot enjoy fully. Krishna never wants to bring his Aishwarya between himself and his pure devotees. So, in the whole of Gokula, Vrindavan, Mathura, he does not want to display his Aishwarya, especially Gokula and Vrindavan. There, for everybody, he is either a little baby, or he is a friend, or he is a master, or he is a lover. He will never reveal himself as God. Secondly, his devotees also, Devotees also do not wish to see Krishna as God or the one-stop shop for fulfilling their needs and wants. Now, let us compare our own consciousness. Why do we go to a temple? Why do we worship God? We always pray, oh God, destroy my suffering, fulfill my wants. I have this want, that want, give me a nice house, give me a nice bank balance, give me a nice promotion. These things, I want a nice child, I want my child to get married. We go with so many demands to God. But devotees, because they don't want to see Krishna as God, they also have no demands from Krishna. Then why do they go to Krishna? They want to serve Krishna. As servant or friend or lover or a parent, their only desire is to serve Krishna. They are always trying to serve Krishna. They don't want to see Krishna as God. So Krishna does not show himself as God, nor the devotees want to see him as God. Thirdly, Krishna sees all souls as his own part and parcels, Sachitananda. So, in Krishna's view, we don't need anything. Krishna knows we are all his own part and parcel, and we are complete. We don't need anything. So, Krishna is not thinking in terms of how to fulfill our material desires. Krishna knows that we have actually no need. All that needs to be done is our ignorance has to be removed. What is that ignorance? We are all thinking that I am the body. The body is not Sachitananda. So we are always feeling incomplete. We have forgotten Krishna and we are thinking that I am the body. That is creating incompleteness in our consciousness. But Krishna sees all of us as his children, complete part and parcel. So he does not see that we need anything. So what Krishna wants to do? He wants to remove our ignorance, that's all. This is the way Krishna approaches his devotee. He will remove the ignorance, and with that removal of the ignorance, the devotee becomes happy. And how does the devotee see Krishna? Devotee sees Krishna as his own life. I hope you all remember, we discussed some examples about the body and the soul. Body is the car and soul is the driver. The body is always dead. The life is given by the soul. Or the body is like the shirt I am wearing. When the shirt becomes torn and useless, I give up that shirt and I wear another shirt. Or if the house in which I am living has become unfit for living, I will leave the house and move into a better house. Same thing, the devotees realize that I am not the body. They know it is the soul that is keeping me alive. And the devotees also know that Krishna is the life of my soul. The soul is giving life to this body, but who is giving life to my soul? That is Krishna. He is the soul of the soul. So he is called Paramatma. My soul is the Atma and he is the Paramatma. My soul is in my body and Krishna is in my soul. It is only because of Krishna that we are alive. So devotees see Krishna as their life. When I say the soul is the real me, I am not the body, the devotees see Krishna as the life of their soul. So when they love Krishna, they realize I am loving myself. That is true selfishness. When I realize Krishna is my life, then I love Krishna and serve Krishna. I am acting actually selfishly. True selfishness. By understanding that when I serve Krishna, I will be happy. You remember that example we showed, a cage and the bird inside. One lady is nicely cleaning the cage, but she is not feeding the bird inside. So what happens? The bird is dying. The cage is shining. In a similar way, in modern life, we are all looking after our body nicely by going to the beauty parlor, we going to the gymnasium, by eating nice foods, taking consultations from naturopathy and all these people. But who is looking after the soul. So the soul is struggling inside. The food for the soul is Hare Krishna Mahamantra. By the chanting the holy names of the Lord, associating with devotees, eating the prasadam of Krishna, this is the food for the soul. But because we are not feeding our soul, we are also unhappy. Devotees see Krishna as their life. So Krishna's happiness is my happiness. So when they want to be happy, what do? They go serve Krishna. Whatever they have, whether they have money, whether they have body strength, or whether they have the power of speech, or they have got nice influence, they use everything in the service of Krishna. And when they get into material trouble for Krishna, it makes them more ecstatic. They want to take trouble for Krishna. It makes them more happy. They maintain their body only to serve Krishna. They are not trying to worship Krishna to maintain their body. You see the difference between people like us, ordinary human beings, and devotees. Devotees want the body to serve Krishna, but we want to serve Krishna to maintain our body. So we have to slowly move from where we are to understand Krishna. That is when we will really become happy. We cannot chase happiness. We should always try to serve Krishna, and happiness will come to us. Next point. Krishna leads pure devotees to higher platforms of unconditional love and prema. What Krishna wants to do, when you take devotion to him, when you start performing bhakti to Krishna, he will elevate your consciousness higher, 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 higher. Forget about the body. Your consciousness will elevate. You will no longer be bothered by the bodily needs and bodily wants. You will be experiencing higher levels of prema, from Dasya Bhava, Sakhya Bhava, Vatsalya Bhava, Madhurya Bhava. Like that, our experience of Krishna will go to higher and higher platforms of love. And what happens to the devotee? Next point. Devotees are intoxicated in selfless love of Krishna. They are sometimes thinking, I am Krishna's property. Or sometimes they are thinking, Krishna is my property. Their consciousness is going like this, and they forget themselves in loving service to Krishna. They are always meditating on how to serve Krishna. This way, there is an ongoing competition between Krishna and his devotee to serve each other. Devotee thinks, I am the servant of Krishna, and he tries to serve Krishna more and more. And Krishna is thinking, oh, this devotee is trying to serve me so much, I should do more. Krishna is never satisfied by his service to his devotee. No, I want to give more happiness to my devotee. And devotee is not thinking about his own happiness. He is thinking, I want to make Krishna happy. Why? Because devotee is in love with Krishna, and Krishna is in love with his devotee. So they are both trying to serve, and they are not satisfied. They are not satisfied. Krishna thinks, I have not done enough. Devotee thinks, no, I have not done enough. So there is a eternal competition going on. Who wins? Both the winner and the loser are winners. Krishna is happy, his devotee is happy. Eternally, the happiness is constantly growing. Ultimately, they feel ever increasingly grateful to each other and try to reciprocate better. You see the feeling of gratitude? It's such a powerful emotion. Modern world is known by the lack of gratitude. We receive so much from our parents, but we forget them. Most of the children, they get nicely educated, they go abroad and settle down, and they don't think about the father and mother. They mostly go into old age homes. Even the young children, we have to teach them to take blessings from parents every day, to touch their feet, to fall at their feet, and help mother, help father in whatever way they can. The elders should become an example for their children. Everyone should show respect and love to the elders. They should try to fulfill the needs of their elders, because they gave us our bodies, they gave us our education. We can never forget them. This gratitude is a foundation stone for happiness. As long as gratitude does not arise in my heart, I cannot experience happiness. So here we are saying Krishna feels gratitude to his devotee. Can you beat it? Krishna always feels grateful to every devotee. If you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna says, oh, this child is chanting my name. If you take, if you do namaskaram to God, Krishna is thinking, oh, this child is performing namaskarams to me. If you chant the glories of Krishna, if you teach the glories of Krishna to another person, Krishna says, oh, this child is preaching my glory to other people. He is trying to bring others to me. Like that, Krishna becomes grateful. So, same way, devotee is feeling grateful to Krishna because devotee understands my heart was so full of negative emotions, but by the mercy of Krishna, my heart is now filled with positive emotions of love and joy. I want to reciprocate this to Krishna. So the competition goes on eternally between Krishna and the devotee. Now, Krishna is inviting all of us. Please come and join this competition, this ecstatic race of serving each other. Are we willing to join this ecstatic race? By joining this race, we shall be able to experience true love in our life. This is another story of a fruit vendor who came to Gokula. She came in front of Krishna's house and she was shouting, you want some fruits? You want some fruits? She's a tribal woman, uneducated. She has come in front of Krishna's house. Immediately, Krishna has seen his mother, how she does the shopping. How they do shopping? No money. It's all barter system. You give some rice to this lady and she'll give you the fruits. Like that. So Krishna picked up some rice in his two hands. How much rice he can carry? And while coming only, most of the rice fell down. And Krishna came in front of this lady and he opened his palms. A few grains of rice fell down. This lady was captivated by the beauty of Krishna. The lovely form of Krishna captivated her. And when the child extended the hands for the fruits, this lady immediately filled up his hands with all the fruit that she was carrying. She was not expecting any payment. She was happy by seeing the child happy. When she did this little service to Krishna, and when she went back, her basket was filled with wonderful gold jewelry and precious stones. This is how Krishna reciprocates. Krishna's reciprocation is unlimited. What does Krishna want from us? Love. He created this entire creation. He made all these souls only to exchange love with him. And our happiness is in exchanging love to him. This is the story of the fruit vendor. With love, she gave the fruits to Krishna without any expectation. And when Krishna gave her the jewelry, it was not the jewelry she was after. She was requesting Krishna, please sit on my lap. And she was telling Krishna, please call me Amma. When Krishna called Amma, she became so happy. While going back home, she was constantly shouting, Krishna, 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 like that. So Krishna wants to captivate our hearts. And that is the entire theme of Krishna Leela. He appears in this world not for killing demons. Killing demons can be done only by contemplating. But why he comes into this world? His real purpose is to capture our hearts, to remove the ignorance, to remove all the rubbish from our heart and make it pure. That is the reason why Krishna appears. So, all that I have told you, I have learned from the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada and his disciples. It was the vision of Srila Prabhupada that ISKCON temples must act as Vedic universities. We all have visited so many temples, but ISKCON temples are different because they are meant as Vedic universities. Which other temple have you gone where you get lessons on Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam or the holy scriptures? Where do you receive guidance on how to live your life? How to give up the negatives in your life? How to invite positives into your life? How to surrender to Krishna and become his pure devotee and serve him? How to know that you are not this body, you are a spirit soul. And your permanent residence is in Goloka Vrindavana in the eternal association of Krishna. So the true knowledge of who you are, who is God, what is the relationship, how to overcome the sufferings in this material world and to become permanently joyful and ecstatic, these are all lessons that we receive in ISKCON temples. That is the goal of Srila Prabhupada. With this, we come to the end of this session. Let us all chant together the holy names and let us thank Prabhupada and let us try to develop this mood of gratitude towards Srila Prabhupada, towards the Parampara, and towards Lord Krishna himself. The more the gratitude arises in our heart, you receive a guarantee that you will go back to Krishna. The more this gratitude arises in my heart, I did not deserve it, but somehow Krishna has found a way to give it to me. There was this COVID-19 that came and attacked the whole world. Because of that, I was forced to sit at home and I was not knowing what to do. But Krishna found a way how to use this time in the form of various programs of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Krishna has reached me. He has come to my house. He has entered into my heart and is now inviting me to join in that eternal dance of love along with him, just at a time when his Janmashtami is also approaching. So with this, let us thank Srila Prabhupada and let us all chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra and we will close this session. We shall be again having Krishna Leela sessions in the following Saturday and Sunday. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.